Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Last of Us Grounded Difficulty video walkthrough. This is going to be a little bit different to my previous one. It's going to be completely minimalist, and you will notice that I am starting not from the prologue or the beginning of the game, but from the very first encounter where Joel has to engage an enemy. And that is going to be the theme of this walkthrough, folks. It is going to be a linear sequences of combat and stealth sections. I'm going to be removing everything else, all the puzzle solving, all that kind of intermediary moments where it's quiet and it's pacing driven. All of that will be gone. This is literally the parts that challenge you from a combat or a stealth predicament. If anybody is here and that does not help them, I am banking on the fact you've already played, so you already know your way through the game, and the only help you'll need here is with the encounters. If you don't, and you are struggling still, if you check my playlists, I do have a full Survivor walkthrough of the entire game. The only things omitted from that are cutscenes, everything else is intact. But for the intents and purposes of this guide, it's going to be no nonsense, full function, streamlined and efficient. And this is Chapter 1, the Quarantine Zone. So, grounded difficulty. How does it differ from Survivor? A lot of you may be wondering, well, in complete honesty, guys, I've not noticed too much of a differences. I know what the differences are on paper, but I haven't noticed much. This encounter here, my strategy is pretty simple. I bide my time and let Tess do as much as I can. And then occasionally I'll pop up and take a shot if I think I can get somebody, but I will never put myself in risk for no reason. So for the most, I just lure out some shots, I move into better positions, and I see what Tess can do. So grounded difficulty. The first thing you know, there's no HUD. It's very, very limited HUD functions. You still have reticles, and you still have features of the HUD when you're in your bag or in your equipment. Everything else is stripped away. The AI is now apparently more intelligent, but what The Last of Us says is intelligence is they seem to move a little bit more of a pack mentality. They group together more than they did before, which makes it harder to divide and conquer them. So far, and I'm in Pittsburgh, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference.
Let's spread out and make sure no one's creeping around in here.
You know, it's that thing of everybody's going to have different experiences because the AI is quite random on this game. It is capricious in nature and thus at times can be very strange. The damage is amplified from Survivor. You literally die in about 2 to 3 hits off the standard things. It's, you know, it's up there, but the weapon damage has also had a big buff as well. So bullets now seem to do a lot more damage than they did before, which I think really balances out that aspect of it. On top of all those elements, supplies are now a lot more rare than they were on Survivor, and on Survivor they were pretty scarce as well. So it all culminates in, you know, as extreme as it gets. But I wouldn't let that put you off, guys, because I recorded, the first 3 chapters in about an hour and a half. The only place I had a few restarts on was the school area in Billstown, because there's so many enemies, and I'm actually going to try and do something interesting with this walkthrough, which you might have noticed so far. We haven't really done much that shows the mentality I'm driving home here, but to challenge myself a little bit more, I wanted to play this slightly different than I did the Survivor one, so I'm going to try my best to not rely on the guns. So in my previous walkthrough, I would do a section as stealthily as I could, and then when things kicked off, I would shoot everybody. In this one, I want to try and use my fists more. I want to try and be a little bit more melee focused, and I want to save ammunition. And the only times I'm going to use the guns is if I can't get past the situation without doing it. And there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but for the most, I'm going to try my best to have some just crazy high-octane, you know, kiting enemies running around, manic brawls, essentially. They're going to be like pub fights. It's going to be, hopefully, pretty fun to watch. This first sequence here, I grab this guy. You can pull him into this office if you want to, if you're afraid of him being spotted, but I take on the next few enemies quite aggressively, so there's never really a threat of anybody seeing the body. So from that, I push over to this dude, choke this guy out, and then I go immediately into the warehouse and I choke the guy on the ground. Initially, I was trying a different strategy for this because I didn't know if the guys on the balcony would see this dude, so you'll notice I pull this dude a little bit closer to this box that I'm near, just to you know, get him a little bit out of the way, but do not trust the dragging them at gunpoint, because they get out of it so quickly, and normally they get a free punch on you, which is a little bit annoying. But these next two guys, the strategy is usually quite simple. Wait for the guy on the right to enter the room that you move through to get to him, take him out, and then watch the path of the other dude, and then take him out with a stealth takedown. And it all goes pretty simply. It went simple on my practice run. It didn't go so simple on this one, and I think I kicked these barrels, yeah, I kicked those by accident, and he heard them. So the AI has gone from being passive to alert. And that's when things get a little bit trickier. So if you stay on cover here and bash triangle when somebody's passing, you will grab them. It's maybe 1 in 10 chance of the grab not working and you having to fight them, but for the most, you should be okay. However, the animation moves Joel. It moved me in front of the window, and this guy saw me, so I have to now punch him. But luckily enough, he doesn't respond too quickly. He doesn't seem to have a gun, so we get through that sequence pretty simply, and then you can go around and loot everything that you want. But once again, this is full efficiency, so we're skipping immediately to the next encounter. Here we are at the docks. On here is a shiv, so pick it up, and as you get to the corner of this crate, there is one dude. The thing to bear in mind on this game, the human's hearing is not that great, so you can crouch walk near humans and you'll be fine. You can manipulate their vision cones and you'll be fine. The infected have advanced hearing, and on grounded mode I think the hearing is perhaps a little better, so you need to brush the analog lightly for the infected, and you can crouch walk at any pace against humans. As long as you know those two things, you'll have a lot less struggle through a lot of these areas. So you can hear as well that audio noise when somebody can see you. Funny thing is, I'm recording all of this with no volume, and I'm watching people's walkthroughs and stuff. I'm currently watching a couple of DSP videos and a few other things, so I can't hear that noise, which makes it a little bit more exciting for me. But if you throw the brick, you can sneak past these guys. We threw the brick against the boat to get the guy behind the boxes to turn away. Once you open this door, get inside. They just spotted me then, or somebody spotted something, because you heard him shout, "I know you're out there," and as soon as you hit this door, you get your checkpoint. Speaking of checkpoints, one of the things that Grounded also does is it strips away checkpoints. Personally, I think Survivor's checkpoints were perfect. I didn't have a problem with any of them. I honestly can't remember ever getting frustrated at the checkpoints, but on Grounded mode, I can see a lot of people raging. Because the Capitol building, when you have to sneak through that entire lobby after the rifle, and then you drop down, get a checkpoint, and then you sneak through the final area, and then you get out towards the subway, no checkpoint there. So if you cock up on the final bit, you have to do the first bit again. And if your method is any way indicative of what my earlier methods were, which is essentially relying on the AI not to see you, which is like 1 in 3, it's one of those trial and error techniques that I used to use. It didn't work so well on this, so I had to get really aggressive. And the technique I'm going to show you does work, but there's always the chance you get shot, which is a little frustrating. But this kind of run, it's going to be restart heavy, because the difficulty is meant to be incredibly punishing, and I don't think it's that bad, really. I just think that stripping checkpoints out is the weakest thing the devs can do to increase difficulty. But for this moment, I toss the brick over there. You can wait a little bit longer for the guy on the left, but it's a little slower, and I wanted to get through this as quick as I could, so if you wait for him to stand and rest, when you throw that brick, somebody shot at me then, but if you wait for people to get in line, when you throw that brick, they all turn away and they never see you. But I was going through it a little too quick, and he saw me, but we were at the end. That's the end of Chapter 1. I will see you in Chapter 2. Thank you very much for watching. You take care now.